Yo boys, back with another video. Today we're gonna be doing Feral Druid Rogue, which yeah, this is basically my druids. We haven't played in a super long time on retail wise. He's been like legit not playing for the last 3 seasons. So he legit has like 249 gear on. He's like 249 duelist, as you can see, he has 70k HP. We actually end up doing actually really solid. We get, 1800 in like 2 days basically. It was pretty solid games. Now, Evokers and DHs usually, I mean, it was like super RNG if we won, depending on my Trinket RNG. But you'll be able to see that he dies insanely fast. Like, well, obviously he has no gear. We're facing people with 92k, which means they're either full 1800 or 1950. We end up getting Trinket before my guy evokes. We end up getting Trinket, which is good. My guy ends up using his Trinket. We get Vanish and Guardian there. And this guy starts pumping my Rogue, or he starts pumping my Druidiment, and my guy's just basically gonna be running the entire game. Now, his only purpose is basically running a Convoke build that baits out cooldowns, and that's pretty much it. I'm farming my combo points off the priest. I'm basically gouging so my guy can get away. I pre-faint here just in case he tries to either pre-fear me or... So I end up actually sapping him, and then I sap his trinket because I knew he was going to trinket. So I end up sapping him here because he obviously doesn't... He gets a... Actually, yeah, I don't even know what he was thinking, but I end up sapping his trinket and he ends up getting taken out. I didn't really have to click anything there. I was pretty sure I wasn't going to get the sap. That's the reason I didn't go for, the full send. I didn't think we'd actually kill him there. Because any other priest in the game would have just, not got resapped on a trinket, but, it is pre-patch. So in this situation, we end up facing a Undergeared Priest, which was like the first person that was, you know, my guy's gear. Obviously, they're getting boosted, which if I was any other class with this gear, it might be different. Like, it might be like 10 times easier, but, it's not going to be easy overall. So the Shaman here goes for the one shot. He ends up getting lined. He lined on his entire burst. I don't know what he was thinking. He ends up using every CD without having anyone stun. I don't know, like I I've never seen somebody that clicks all of their cooldowns before any CC is done. I could tell, he wasn't used to playing a shaman. It says he has, this expansion gladiator, so I assume he just played you know, just played the good old fashioned melee cleave. I don't know. I forgot what the turbo. Turbo is what the word is. I was looking for it. He's probably played Fury Warrior enhancement and then HPO to get his good old fashioned gladiator. Because anybody who uses every single cooldown without anybody being stunned is clearly not used to playing the game. I end up sapping his trinket here, and he ends up getting taken out. Unfortunately, they end up getting the good old fashioned L, and I go for a little bit of dam on him. He ends up walling here. I end up disarming as soon as he gets out, just in case he tries his global my guy, because he still has his lust on him, and we end up getting the good old fashioned W. So this is basically the one of the worst comps in the game for us to face. Not only are evokers almost unkillable, but Locke's unkillable, so you can never go Warlock as a rogue. I think everybody knows that by now. Maybe, I mean, it's not just rogue, there's a bunch of classes. So it's definitely a bad option to go Warlock. You basically cannot go them, especially if they have any type of gear. So this guy is actually decently geared. We sap him here. We end up opening. So the basically goal is to Kinny him. He ends up flying. I still can't stun him. I finally get the stun off. So you want to get Emerald whatever the Communion. You want to get that first because that's what they'll always push. And then the second go you get Trinket. It's basically like facing a Shadow Priest where you have to get Disperse on the first go and then get Trinket on the second go. And that's basically all you're going for because even though you usually are not going to have enough damage to actually get that type of cooldown. Like he was fine there. He probably didn't even need to click because my guy's Convoke can't like 100 out anybody with gear. And it can like 100 maybe. I mean, the lock wasn't even CC, or he was. He was kinda, but not really. The lock is basically stacking, so like even if he evoked, it wouldn't have done much. I actually sap him here. I my DR. I wish there was a way I can make my Gladius bigger because it's so annoying trying to see the DR. Like if you check, it's like super tiny. So you have to like make sure you like really pay attention to it. We end up kinning. I end up using my trinket here because we've already gotten his trinket, and at this point he's dead. This guy ends up walling a blind, so this is the type of people that need I say more? He ends up walling on top of it. This is the type of people that are controlling the bracket right now. And instead, I'm having to sweat at 1800 because I'm facing people that are backpedaling and using cooldowns on sap and blind. But that's the game. There's nothing we're going to be able to do about it. So we'll just have to rely on Blizzard to win. Relying on Blizzard is it's a hard thing. And you guys should know this by now. I complain about the game 24. Trust me. When you play if you play Rogue in this pre-patch, there's not one Rogue in the game that thinks Rogue is good. Like you think at first Rogue is good, but then the moment your trinket doesn't do anything, you realize that you done did yourself. Now facing another sub Rogue or something like that is super fun. Because like it's actually competition. It's not just like the class. It's a 1v1 between rogues. The better rogue is going to win. Like almost every time, unless like if my druid had full gear, he'd be able to actually pump because he's running like a weird type of build. He's running a convoke build type bleed build, but with all of his bleeds, he does a lot of damage. Now obviously not enough damage like against these people to do that much, but like people with his gear, he absolutely pumps. So this guy ends up trinketing my blind and instantly regrets it, and we end up just killing him. It was pretty, that's why you don't want to trinket unless it's a stun. I basically just bait out rogues doing that, and they always usually trinket because that's just what they do. Dragonflight is coming out soon, though, that we are excited for that. I'm not gonna lie about that one. I've been doing legit nothing. I just logged on here, try to sell some gold carries, and then I just log off because there's this so boring. I did try out the one-shot evoker, like I just made one and I just tried it out. I can see how it's broken. It's so easily done. So I end up pre-evasioning just in case he tries to trinket stun me. So he trinkets. He stuns me. I end up trinketing to get the DH's trinket. He almost one-shots my druid here. I think the monk almost one-tapped him through bear, which is gonna happen when my guy has 70k with 4 season. Like the gear is so old that it's legit. Nobody's gonna have that type of gear. He has the professional gear. I end up trying to sap the monk here. I can't because I think the tiger's on my teammate right now. Never mind. I don't know why. Maybe it was just you know. I get a good old fast sub to the YouTube like usual. DH ends up using his eyeball. We end up sapping him. So basically, at this point, I could either go DH or I can go Windwalker, but it's pretty much overkill. So the trinket, we end up double trinketing him there, and it was just once both of our trinkets are down, it's just really, you know, done. It's GG, and we end up getting a good old-fashioned W. The one thing, if you guys just hold your trinkets on the additional trinket, you will survive. Now, this is a game, we've actually faced these guys like 3 times. We beat them every single time. I actually didn't edit out any of this video, so you're going to see the entire arena and how... I'm going to show you how garbage it is to play when you do not have the trinket damage on your side. So I always usually sap the warrior first to see if he'll rage. Because when he rages, and if you wait off DR, you can actually full gouge him. And since my guy's playing a Convoke build, he's not going to be really bleeding that often. So I end up opening here, trying to get a full kidney. I think I trinket blind here. I stun him. This is where we need to Convoke. Druid ends up trinketing. Warrior ends up trinketing. So we basically get double trinket on nothing. Legit error. So that's nice. So the warrior basically clicks everything. My guy he gets like down to 20%. I end up gouging. That's where you want to sap and get his enrage. And then I DR Kinium just because basically if this guy connects on my guy at all for more than like 3 seconds, like even the druid that's going to be attacking him right now, it's actually going to be able to do some damage. So my guy's at 63%. The druid's putting bleeds on him. I don't think the druid should have cycloned him. The reason is the druid was already on him. Now he's basically, I mean, he is CCing his rejuve, so that could be good. He ends up DR stunning him. So that's probably the reason he survived there. I end up kinning, cheaping here. Now my guy's not running cyclone in this build. I had him switch later on. My guy uses trinket. This is where we didn't get any RNG, and he ended up only getting to 50% and a full kidney, which is gonna happen when our classes are based around our trinket. I end up vanishing. My guy ends up getting a re. So at this point, it's all up to me. The problem is there's a conduit that reduces the wall CC or the wall, CD. So this guy basically has wall every minute, and that's not good for me, especially when he's already tanky enough, being a warrior. So even without D-stance, he's a tank. If he was a warrior or if he was an arms warrior, it'd be 10 times worse because he'd have the extra D-stance, and it would never be possible to kill this guy. So the main goal is we're just resetting cooldowns because the only way we win this is if Damp is on our side and they just can't heal the damage. I end up getting the eyeball and trying to sap the Druid here and then trying to open here. I end up sapping. He ends up pre-stunning me, so this stun was basically useless. My guy ends up evoking. I end up re-sapping here. I think we get Trinket. I think my Gladius is bugged because you can't really see his Trinket on it. He is running a Trinket, but it's Gladius and it's pre-patch, so it's not all coded correctly. So a lot of it's not correct. And it's probably the reason you can't buff it, because I've already went through the settings. My guy ends up almost dying again. Thankfully, we just perma CC him on his damage. We try doing damage to the Druid here, but it just doesn't work out. I end up sapping him. I get a full sap. I thought he had Rage. That's the thing I don't like about Gladius is I just do not like it. I mean, I'm not running any add-ons other than my, very few. So that's the reason it'll look different than, before pre-patch I had all them add-ons helping me, which if I just had Gladius bigger, it would be fine, but like having it that small, trust me, it's not a good time. Looking at like paying attention for that for a couple seconds, like just trying to look on what DRs is off. In a matter of 3 seconds or even 2 seconds, it's the games you're basically you can die in between that time right now. He ends up getting a full Necro Shield, so it's kind of like we have to I end up sapping him for Enrage. He ends up arranging for no reason. The Druid could open me, but he doesn't. And at this point, we're basically just waiting out the time. So now we have Gouge again. We have it ready, so he has no enrage. I'm trying to sap the Druid. Now, the way we can win this is basically going Druid, getting Druid's Trinket, and then killing the Druid. Because I'm pretty sure the Warrior's not actually running a Trinket. He's running something else. But I'm pretty sure he's just using Human Trinket. I mean, I don't think anybody would be using Human Trinket and a normal Trinket. I figured he'd be running Relentless, but my full kidney's going and so do my full salve, so he's not running Relentless. I don't know what he's running for a second there. Maybe like the Haste Trinket for Fear Warrior. So the Warrior ends up getting the eyeball. I end up sapping him here since he already used Enrage. That's where it comes in handy. You only want to use Enrage when you know you can get him out. Like if nothing's happening, you don't want to use it. Even here, this would be a good time to use it because you have the eyeballs. There's no way you're gonna be able to get resapped. You're gonna get them out no matter what, unless like you get permalined, and that's just because you're bad, like you. He ends up charging my Druid. My Druid has to Trinket. He gets down a little bit. My guy's perma-kiting this guy, which is great. Now, if the Druid was doing a little bit more, now he's running Feral Affinity, I'm pretty sure. So even if he just DR stun, I think they would have killed him a long time ago. I blind the Warrior. I kidney the Druid here. This is where we get Trinket, and now we have to win on the next go, or it's basically toast oven. My guy is running out of CDs. He used every cooldown just to get away, even though I was kiting him. I end up full gouging him. He actually does enrage this one, which he is not good because he also DR fears me, which is not good either. But, it works out for me. Now at this point, I need to Shadowy Duel the Druid, and I need to have my guy's Trinket and my Trinket to kill this guy. Because what the Warrior's going to do is he's going to stack on top of the Druid when I Shadowy Duel him. What happens is it's going to stack. I end up pre-sapping him here. Now if my guy was rolling Cyclone, he could stun into Cyclone. I'm pretty sure he has Trinket at this point. He ends up DCR stunning me again. So I just I full send. I'm like, yo, just use your Trinket. He disarms me. I end up Trinketing it. And thankfully the Trinket ends up, he wasn't stacking, and that's why we actually just did so much. It was such an overkill. I don't know why. I guess the Warrior didn't think we had Trinkets, or I mean, we already used them, so we knew we had them. But a lot of people don't know that you can actually, sync the Trinket, and it'll, do damage in between both of you. So if a Rogue of Shadowy Duels your teammate and you're just standing there, you can actually stand on top of your teammate, and it'll stack. Here's a game where we're basically going to get every cooldown from the Warrior and then run. So we end up getting his Trinket, which is nice, but we need his wall. So we end up just running, because at this point, I end up blinding the DH for Trinket. Because what'll happen is, I can actually just shadowy kill the DH in a duel, or we can go for the Warrior. Now, I probably should have went the Druid, or the DH at this point, because he has no Necro Shield. The warrior still has wall, so it's like there's not really a point of going this guy at this point. So we're kind of just waiting. Now, yeah, we should have went DH. The thing is, I was like, if I sap the warrior, then he's just gonna enrage. So we're basically opening on the warrior and trying to get his wall, or just full send it, evasion him, make sure he doesn't get any healing off, and at that point he's just gonna die. There's not much he can do about it. So we're good old fashioned opening ante, and pretty much that is basically the end of the game. My Vegas actually froze. That's why I wasn't commentating when I was opening, because I was actually just stuck on. I thought I just kept talking over because the video was almost over. So just do what I do, and you might have a chance. Now at higher CR, like we're playing at 1800. If you're playing this at like 2K, you're never gonna win a game. I'm gonna be straight. Now if you're playing with like a meta comp and you're playing with like a DPS Evoker or Shadow Priest, but like playing Rogue in general is not a fun experience. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys.